Welcome back to the show. Hope you're all well and find yourselves in good spirits, especially during the holiday season. For those of us that celebrated Thanksgiving, I would like to say that I am grateful for the community that is still listening to my ramblings and recap of any show, either on Netflix or that has to pertain with wrestling, especially the ones we just watched over the weekend. I'm your host, Evo, stuffed and awake from the food coma, but now my coma wants a coma. You wouldn't get it. Thank you for tuning in to another awesome broadcast of my pod. This is Futa, uh, acronym, from Under the Apron. I wanted to say something different. And all I want for Christmas is a championship belt. Maybe. I'm sore. I ate a lot. I did the Casper slide shuffle, whatever that thing's called. And now I don't want to look at another turkey or ham again. I made some awesome side dishes, of course. Potato salad, banana pudding, all the sugar free stuff because, type 2 diabetes. I regret nothing. I reached out to a lot of people this past week to wish them a happy Thanksgiving with their families. Some I haven't talked to in years. My fault. But as the saying goes, when one opportunity ends, two more will come busting through the window. I ended up reaching out to four other friends who I've shared the podcast with. It's totally different when you're about to enter your third year and people still didn't know you had a podcast where you love to talk about your passions or trying to bring awareness to type 2 diabetes. Alas, one more month into the podcast birthday. I am excited. Are you? Tell me you are, please. Please indulge me in agreeing in my delusions. Merch is selling like crazy thanks to the new t-shirts and thanks to one awesome person, the designer of that shirt, the big friendly giant. Futa appreciates you, bud. Okay, I'm serious. I'm not calling it Futa anymore. From Under the Apron appreciates you, bud. We're back, and I rewatched and recapped the next episode of the critically acclaimed Netflix show, Glow. Thanks for sticking around. This is season 1, episode 6 of Glow. The title is called This Is One of Those Moments, which is a reference of Barbra Streisand's song from the 1983 musical film Yentl. The movie came out in 1983. It's set in Eastern Europe, 1904. A Jewish woman, Yentl, has a thirst for knowledge but is prohibited from learning due to the restrictions of her religion. When her father dies, she sets out to increase her knowledge, posing as a man in order to gain admission to a Jewish religious school. Episode was written by the Queen herself, Jenji Kohan. She is best known for writing, directing, producing, and creating some amazing shows like Weed, Orange is the New Black, Mad About You, and 12 episodes of Gilmore Girls. Directed by Kate Dennis. She's been around the block for years. Since her debut in 1996, she has directed episodes of Rescue Me, CSI Cyber, Sleepy Hollow, Fear the Walking Dead, New Amsterdam, Preacher, Suits, Handmaid's Tale, again I fucked that one up, The Handmaid's Tale, Krypton, The Tick, and Run, to name a few. Synopsis of the show: Sam searches for the perfect heel to fight Devi, but she's tough to please. To fully develop her gimmick, Ruth goes with the motel's manager to a Russian Jewish family party. So we open the show with Ruth walking to the gym, carrying a cup of tea and greeting Sam in her Russian persona, saying, "Morning, comrade." She puts down the tea, which is burning in her hand, and says that drink tea in Russia with pain. Sam tells her to stop with the accent, that's a little early for that. She says, using the accent, that it's never too early to be in character. As you all know, I can't do a freaking Russian accent for shit, so I'm just gonna go ahead and try to read it off. If it comes out, it comes out. If it doesn't, excuse my poor, horrible dialect of a Russian accent, or whatever comes off of it. They continue. He argues that it is, and she asks in her normal voice what Russians have against mugs. He tells her there's a metal thing with a handle that the cup goes into. She asks how he knows that, and he says that he used to date a Russian woman, Yana Popov, like the vodka, no relation. She didn't get along with his dog and had a weird mole. He breaks up with them if they had weird stuff. She asks just why it is that she's there early. Debbie walks in at the same time and knocks over the tea, asking what it's doing there on the floor. Ruth explains that it was too hot, saying she'll get a paper towel instead, leaving Debbie to whisper to Sam that he dragged her at the ass crack of dawn to get her in a room with her. Sam says it's early morning, it's nice and quiet. Debbie says she tolerated Ruth being there because she likes watching Sam make her feel bad, but they have an unspoken agreement to stay away from each other. He tells her it's time to break that rule, that she told him to find her a great heel, and Ruth is one. Debbie insists that she won't work with Ruth. Sam says she's a shining star and Ruth is a dirty, nasty, stepped in dog shit heel. Debbie is USA and Ruth Soviet Union. It's the main event. Ruth tries out her Russian accent, saying, "In Soviet Union, we clean with rubles and hide paper towels under a mattress." That's a little perfect, better. But gets no reaction from Debbie. Sam says that Ruth was killing it the other day with it, telling her to do the thing he likes. She gets up, giving her name as Zoya the Destroyer, and telling Debbie that she's a weak capitalist dog. She's a noble Soviet bear. Debbie stone-faced, nothing. Sam tells her to do it in the ring, that it'll look better up there. Sam insists that Debbie watch. Ruth says she's been working on moves called the hammer and sickle. She starts with a body slam and then she sickles the feet. Ruth takes a back bump, then gets herself in the hammerlock. Ruth gets up and starts working a match by herself against herself. Or, as the people in the industry, in the business would say, an invisible opponent. It's happened before. On January 7th, 2018, a video went viral of former AEW wrestler Joey Janela wrestling the Invisible Man on a wrestling show. Yes, exactly how it sounds. People like to say nobody is there whenever John Cena's in a ring, or like whenever somebody asks me about my 36-inch John Cena that stands behind my streams, to which I ask what they're talking about. So if John Cena's in there, how do these wrestlers take bumps? Enter Joey Janela, who bumped, locked up, and did a headlock on an invisible person in the middle of the ring in front of a crowd, complete with commentary, a referee asking if the invisible guy is okay, the crowd reaction, and for sure, a winner. So as stated before on the last episode, when Carmen said her uncle faced a puppet snake and brought the house down, I believed it. All because of moments like these. Wrestling is not all soap operas and matches, they can be fun as well. I will have the video of Joey Janela versus the Invisible Man match in the show notes. And also don't forget to browse around YouTube and look for the Invisible Man versus the Invisible Stan. I told you it's as crazy as it sounds. Um, the only way to explain this is a referee in the middle of the ring counting and a table that breaks by itself. Just watch it, please. Just look it up. Invisible Man versus Invisible Stan. Okay, back to the show. Ruth says her opponent locks her around and she thinks she's got her, but she comes back with the soon to be famous rough toilet paper, which looks like a variation of a wedgie. Ruth says it's then fight, fight, fight. I'm bad, you're good. I'm winning. Fist to the gut and knee, you're winning. She drags herself on the mat by her hair, sliding herself toward the ropes, yelling, "Step off. She still got me, you stupid American swine." She gets up off the mat and yells, "You think you're getting away, but I get you by your hair." And she drags herself back while having a handful of her own hair. She's really working here. She spins herself around and says she gets set up in her front line, which is another roll around the ring. She gets up and says she sets her up again for the potato soup, which throwing her face first in the padded turnbuckle. She says, still working on the name. Debbie continues to stare stone cold. Nothing. What is wrong with this girl? But I bet you the blooper reel of this scene was little magic. She couldn't. How long did she stay in character? Ruth says big finish and vodka for breakfast is the name of her move. Debbie is unamused again. Ruth continues that Debbie would come back and defeat her with something American and awesome because she's blonde. Sam says that Ruth is the best villain they have and everything that she needs. Debbie says they can do better and leaves. She doesn't want anything to do with this. Sam says it's not what he was hoping for. Ruth says maybe he should have warned her and could have prepared more. He tells her to take the day off. She says she's ready to work. But Sam says she can't if he can't get her scene partner into the ring. He says he'll deal with Debbie. She asks what she's supposed to do. He suggests maybe she gets a facial or go shopping or whatever the fuck you women do. She suggests she could work on her character and sharpen the edges. Sam agrees that she could do a deep dive. Ruth leaves and Sam bumps into his own coffee cup that he left on the ground and curses at it. The Glow logo appears on the screen. The show finally starts. So I did say last week that I would talk about wrestlers who cheated on their significant other with other wrestlers, but they tend to have a good storyline behind it, but sometimes the match gets out of hand. So, with that in mind, the first one is hard to talk about considering the implications surrounding how this one ended. Please don't go away. Please don't. Just just let it just listen to it, okay? Chris Benoit versus the Booker of World Championship Wrestling, Kevin Sullivan. The storyline was that Kevin Sullivan's wife, the dead manager woman, was cheating on him with Chris Benoit. One of the first storylines I've ever seen in WCW where everything blended to feel like it was real. Kevin Sullivan and Nancy Tuffolani were married in real life. To keep the storyline going, Chris and Nancy would go out in public on dates and stuff to keep kayfabe. This indirectly led them to actually fall in love with each other, and for Kevin and Nancy to split, with her leaving him for Benoit. However, they still had to work together, have matches against each other, so in the summer of '96, they collided in a series of matches where nobody held back any punches. Everything seemed real, even the fights in the bathroom, even Chris Benoit throwing Kevin Sullivan into the toilet bowl or into the freaking sink. Because of this, it is often joked that Kevin Sullivan booked his own divorce. The two divorced in 1997. Sullivan lost a retirement match to Benoit. His intent had been to retire from in-ring action and focus on just booking. Women's final WCW appearance and professional wrestling appearance as women took place on May 26, 1997, on Monday Nitro as she accompanied Benoit to the ring for a confrontation with Jimmy Hart regarding the whereabouts of Sullivan, who wasn't in the arena. On the following week's show, Benoit came along to ringside without her by his side. After managing him for a little over half a year, no reason was given for a woman's sudden disappearance, and she was never mentioned on WCW programming again.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dawn.
And if you've ever watched a TV show and thought to yourself, oh my god, that season finale plot twist was absolutely bonkers.
Or seen a movie and thought, wow, I need to talk to somebody about this train wreck immediately.
Then we think you'll fit right in with our podcast, I Hate It, Let's Watch It. We watch TV shows like Riverdale and Emily in Paris.
And movies like Deep Water, Killer Sofa, Rubber, and Deadly Illusions. And we give them the total rinsing they deserve.
It's basically group therapy for movie masochists. So come check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening!
Next scene, Justine is with the pizza guy, Billy, having breakfast at the restaurant. He asks if she wants dessert. She questions the idea of breakfast dessert, but he is all into it. She suggests carrot cake, and he agrees that's genius. They kiss. She says she doesn't have time, that she has to practice. He suggests that she ditch. She won't hear the end of it. He suggests that he come with her to Poser, flip some records at a music store, but she tells him no. He suggests maybe he can come and watch her, but Justine explains Sam says the rehearsals are closed. He asks her who that is, and she tells him he's the director, Sam Sylvia. She asks if she's ever seen Venus in Chains or Gina Machina. He says he's seen Venus in Chains. He thought it sucked, that it was a real, total hack job with nothing but breast and blood. She says that's the genre, and he replies that ripping off De Palma isn't a genre. She notes that De Palma ripped off Hitchcock, and Billy says that just makes Sam a double hack, a hack of a hack. Fucking perfect. She grimaces and leaves, telling him that not everyone thinks his zine is art. He says that Agnostic Toad is awesome and he doesn't care what people think. He says that they should have more coffee, but she leaves, saying maybe she'll see him later. Mekishana Pierre interviewed Britt Barron for an article on PopSugar.com in 2018. She asked Britt if she was anything like Justine growing up, and Britt says, yes, I guess I was. I went through a kind of punk phase where I painted my nails black. I got my first pair of Converse, and I was listening to bands like the Spill Canvas. I went to this music festival on the East Coast called the Bamboozle with all these punk bands, and I was in the mosh pit. But I think I was definitely more of a poser. While Justine is actually a runaway and so independent, I was just trying to rebel, which I think most people are at that age. Most kids kind of go through this process where it's like, I'm not an adult, but I'm not a baby anymore. So I tried to find that independence, but definitely not to the extent that Justine went to. She's definitely way cooler than I was. When asked if Britt listens to the same music as Justine, Britt said I did. Kate Nash, who played Rhonda, made me a playlist for season 1, which was really helpful. Before we started shooting, I watched a bunch of 80s movies to kind of understand the time period and listen to the Runaways, because Justine is supposed to idolize Joan Jett. That's where the haircut inspiration comes from. But I feel like I really found her once I was in full wardrobe and my hair was cut and dyed black. When I auditioned, they didn't say Justine was a punk rock girl. They described her as a cagey teenager. So I didn't understand her until all of the hair, makeup, and wardrobe was finished. I did a lot of research beforehand. I read a lot of books that delved into punk rock bands, especially female artists in the 80s. So I did a lot of research. But really, once you start shooting, you kind of have to let that all go and just focus on the character. Next scene, Ruth enters the hotel and talks with the hotel manager, Gregory. She says she's just the person she wanted to see, asking how you say Gregory in Russian. He replies, Gregory? Telling her he has to go. We finally find out his name. Gregory. Gregory. Hello, Gregory. Nice to meet you, Gregory. Gregory's played by Ravil Ishinov. Throughout his childhood, Ravil attended classes in music, ballet, theater, as well as going for sports, ice hockey, boxing, and soccer among them. After completing his 2 years national service in the Soviet Air Force, Ravil worked for 2 seasons in Garbaskov Theater. Then he studied in the Moscow Art Theater School for 4 years. His movie credits include Hackers, K-19, The Widowmaker, Goldeneye, The Saint, The Jackal, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Transformers Darker Than Moon, to name a few. He asks if she needs something. She says she needs to pick his brain. He looks at her and responds that he doesn't need to pay for it. He says he has a woman. What? She tells him she's not a hooker. She's an actress. She is playing Zoya the Destroyer, the Soviet scourge. He says he has cousin Zoya. Ruth looks nothing like her. She's a big girl with a great personality. She says she needs to learn more about being Russian. He's the only Russian she knows. He tells her she doesn't know him and he needs to go. She asks if he can come with, and he says it's a family function. She says families love her, begging that she wants to be an authentic representation, not a Russian cartoon villain. She says out of respect for his culture, they deserve better than Boris and Natasha. He gives in, telling her to go change her clothes and not to dress like what she says she's not. Oof. Alright, so there's some of you that are going to be like, who the fuck is Boris and Natasha? Boris and Natasha were two Russian villain characters from the animated TV series The Rocky and Bullwinkle Show, okay? You want to know who Boris and Natasha were? Go look it up. Go YouTube it. You'll find how hilarious that was. It's Boris and Natasha. Okay. Next scene. Rhonda and Justine practice. Rhonda tells her she needs to go to school. Justine responds back and end up a spinster like Barian like you? Rhonda says she's not a spinster. She's a genius and she gets all the boys with her big brain. Justine says, oh yeah, because guys love a big brain flipping off the middle finger. They go at it and Rhonda says that Justine is jealous of her horse. Justine doesn't get it. So she explains that Sam getting her a horse, hoping to butter her up for a part in the next movie, Mothers and Others. What? Alright, so this is what the callback. Was that a callback? Is this what they call a callback? Back in the original Glow, Don Maestas, the wrestler who played Lady Godiva, she's the reason I got in trouble, and probably a bunch of other young boys as well. She would come out to the ring in a white horse, throwing out snobby British insults that riled up her opponents as she strutted around the ring. Look her up. She's fucking amazing. She was the reason I got in trouble. Justine corrects Rhonda, saying it's called Mothers and Lovers. Rhonda says she's kind of read the script and it's Mothers and Others. Justine is surprised that he would have let her read it. Rhonda clarifies that Sam read it to her. She says she was sleeping, then would wake up, then doze off again, and then wake up again. She calls Sam's voice soothing. Kind of like mine, right? Right? Anybody gonna answer that? No? Justine asks if she's sleeping with him. Rhonda replies that it's not great sleep, seeing as she kept waking, but the sex was great. Justine just stares at her. Okay, so why is Justine so fucking worried about Sam? I mean, and if he let her read the script, who cares? Maybe the whole standing thing. Stan doesn't exist around here at this time in the 80s, but you get what I mean. Standing where she's like stalkering and but being a big fan. It sounds like Justine's a bit jealous of the relationship Rhonda has with Sam, seeing that she is into Sam because she loves his movies. Like a big fan. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with this storyline. Ruth is at Gregory's family event where he tells her that if she wants to feel Russian, she has to drink vodka. He gives her a shot and they toast. Ruth says that it's strong. She says she'd better get used to it and puts on the Russian accent, saying, Zoya drinks like a sailor and swears like a fish. He tells her that fish don't talk. She says she's really feeling the vodka and probably should have had breakfast. He asks if she wants some sturgeon on rye bread. She says he's a considerate date and he tells her that it's not a date, that he sometimes has a woman. She asks about a nice horse head sculpture and he explained that his nephew, Michael, is a chess champion in the 18 and under division. She asks if it's a celebration for him or did he like die or something? She can't tell by the faces. He says that he's new to America and they sponsor him. Since Russia likes Jews slightly more than the gays, she says she didn't know he was Jewish and she shows her that he wears a giant tie. She thought it was a cat. His cousin Michael is dragged out, saying that he renounces religion and not to touch his pee-pee. Yeah, you heard that right. A few members of the family are heard saying things like, "Here we go, say goodbye," and it only hurts a little. Ruth asks what's going on, and Gregory says that it's his breed, that they're free to be Jews now that they're in America. It's covenant. They toast, and you can hear Michael screaming in the background. In the ring, Tammy and Debbie work on a routine. Tammy says that she saw Debbie in the frozen food aisle at the supermarket, and she replies that she couldn't have because she only eats fruits and vegetables, bloody red steaks, and occasional apple pie. At the same time this is happening, Justine is standing next to Carmen watching Rhonda and Melrose lock up and giving her the evil eye, and then looking back at Sam, who is videotaping this whole event, this whole scene right here. Tammy insists she saw her by the ice cream and pudding pops. There she was, a stone cold frozen bitch. They go at it. The girls cheer for the welfare queen. Debbie gets out of the ring. She complains to Sam that she's supposed to be the face, but they're cheering for Tammy. Sam tells her that this could work, but this is an internal struggle about racial inequality in America. Debbie tells him to find her someone else. He tells her she's too picky. She asks if he has another name brand actress hiding under the bleachers. He agrees that they'll keep going until they find someone she's comfortable with. So, this kind of reminded me of Hulk Hogan back in the 80s for some reason. There are rumors back then that he held a lot of wrestlers back, like the faces, the good guys basically, like from ever achieving success that he had going in after the WWE Championship. Guys like Roddy Piper, the Texas Tornado, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Big Boss Man, just to name a few. So this feels like Debbie just wants what's good for her career and basically fuck every one of the girls off. You know, they don't deserve this shit. Hopefully she like finds out like, hey, this is all a team effort. But right now it's just like fucking what, prima donna, I guess you could say.
Movies and feelings. Pop, pop. Bring Your Own Popcorn is a podcast that dives into people and the movies who love them. Let us preach to your choir or stoke your ire as we spiral down memory lane with cult classics, Jurassics, and other genres that rhyme with traffic. What we lack in education, we make up for with comedy, compassion, and camaraderie. I'm your host, Mixtape Majesty, inviting you to join me and an assortment of wonderful guests on fine podcast apps everywhere. Bring your own popcorn.
Back at Gregory's event, he comments that life is suffering, and Ruth agrees that she was just saying that this morning, and she is on the Russian wavelength. She's right there. Russian wavelength. She compares herself to a Russian nesting doll, a doll and a doll and a doll and a doll, saying that she's many dolls because she's so into herself. She asks if he gets it, but he calls her a stinker. She asks him to introduce her to some people at the party. He refuses, saying that she claims she wants to be authentic, but she keeps asking stupid questions. They didn't all work in factories and write sad poetry. She says she'll introduce herself instead. She walks up to a woman introducing herself as Zoya, and the woman asks Gregory just who she is in Russian. Where's Lupe? He says she's mad at him, that she thinks he doesn't pay enough attention to her. Ruth smiles and nods and then comments that it's more fun than work break at Gulag. What the fuck? And the woman demands, what the fuck is the matter with her? Gregory says that she claims to be an actress but might actually be a hooker, and that she might be a nice present for his son once he heals. The woman asks why he would bring an actress whore to such a sacred event rite of passage. She's bothering everyone. He says that he has trouble saying no. Michael demands that someone get him a drink, and the woman leaves Ruth, telling her, nice to meeting you, which Ruth loves and tells Gregory, Zoya, nice to meeting you. She asks Gregory why this event is even happening now, that normally a brie would happen when you're a baby, not when you're old enough to scream for vodka. He says in Russia it was an option that they had to live in secret. Now he's in America, he gets to be who he wants. Ruth says this is just like Yanto, who had to come to America to be who she was, and Gregory agrees. Yes, Michael and me and all his relatives are all like Yanto. Michael looks up at Ruth and asks if she will sing something from Yentl, and Gregory urges him to not encourage her. He says that he loves Barbara Streisand and it's his party. Gregory asks if anyone has a microphone. Ruth asks what's happening, and Gregory explains that Michael wants her to sing. He hands her the microphone. She gets on the microphone saying that Gregory has had a very rough day, and he should picture her in a little cap and glasses, pretending to be a man. Background people yelling out, "Who is this girl?" She sings, "This is one of those moments from Yentl," even going as far as to getting up on top of the chair and just over dramatizing the entire thing.
There are moments you remember all your life. There are moments you wait for and dream of all your life. This is one of those moments. I will always remember this chair, that window.
Back at the ring, Devi and Artie chase after each other. Artie's very fast, calling Devi an infidel and telling her that she can't fight her if she can't catch her. Devi stops and shakes her head. Nope. Sheila is Sam's next attempt at finding Devi the perfect heel. Devi calls her a mangy mutt, asking her if she wants to bite her. She leans over the ring, offering up her butt, which Sheila just calls, "This is reductive." Devi asks Sam what she's supposed to do, if she's supposed to debate Sheila. Sam sighs. He finds Cherry in the restroom and asks if she's leaving. She asks him why she wouldn't, that today is a glorified private rehearsal. He says he has a star problem, and she asks what about the other 12 girls that he has. He says that he and Barbie need to get things together. She says that he and Barbie need to get things together, and she'll come back when they're ready to work. She leaves and he takes a pee, only for Justine to come in listening to her Walkman at a high volume. He asks if he can get some privacy, and they go at each other. He suggests that she work on her wrestling moves because she has the biting wit down pat, and she suggests that he work on his movies instead of selling out. He asks her what that means. How is that he's selling out? She says that he's doing a wrestling show now that's nothing but a big casting couch for him. He curses Rhonda, saying that's what he has with Rhonda. It's none of her business, so she should keep quiet. Right, she says, that he only listens to women if he's having sex with them. Justine is going in on Sam. He tells her to go back to practice, that if she doesn't start impressing him, he's catting her weird, stalkery, overcritical ass. She sighs. She tells him he peed on his pants and leaves. That is fucking hilarious. You peed on your pants. Shut the fuck up. Justine walked in listening to Ill Repute's No Hope. Ill Repute is a legendary punk band in the 80s from Oxnard, California, and helped form the Nardcore punk rock scene. Hardcore from Oxnard, Ill Repute's punk anthem Clean Cut American Kid was on regular playlists for a famed alternative rock station K-Rock, and was also featured as a theme for a 21 Jump Street episode. And back in the Pop Sugar interview, Britt Baron was asked what was her favorite thing about working with Genji Kohan, and she responded with, quote, "This cast of women are just phenomenal humans. Glow has given me so much. It's one of the greatest gifts in my life. The biggest thing that I'll take away is my relationship with these women. I feel like we're sisters at this point. We even have a group chat that goes off every single day. When I started Glow, I was nervous about being on a cast with all these women because there's a tendency for women to look at each other as a competition. And there can be a lot of passive aggressiveness. I was so surprised because it's been nothing but support and love for one another. Hollywood is insane, and it can be so brutal. So to have this group of women behind each and every one of us has been amazing. I'm giddy going to work every day. I might have cried going to work at some point because I couldn't believe I was on a show that I believe in with people I love to see and work with. Casting director Jennifer Houston did a phenomenal job in casting truly different women, and it's strange how we're all so unique, yet we complement each other. It's been such a wonderful surprise how well we gel, and I think that translates to the screen. End quote. When she was asked what the training process just as intense as Alison Breeze, Britt says Allison has a personal trainer who she's worked with for several years, and I unfortunately don't. So I'm definitely not in the shape that Allison is. I actually thought when we were starting training that it was going to be super intense. I thought we were going to be running through tires and doing like 200 sit-ups. But it's really just wrestling training, which is complicated and challenging in a different way. You're learning how to move and flipping partners over your head and making sure you aren't getting hurt. But I've trained with the girls during both seasons because the writers could change a scene to write in the fighting scene and they like knowing we're prepared for the possibility.
In a world where the spooky and supernatural collide, two friends go on an epic journey to the other side. Hi, I'm Rain.
Hi, I'm Luna, and we're the hosts of
Spooky Natural, a podcast where we try to make a skeptic into a believer.
Check us out to hear spooky tales of ghosts,
Alien encounters,
cryptids.
and all other unexplained mysteries.
Follow us on Twitter
Instagram,
and join our Facebook group.
and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Spook you later.
So back at the ring, Sam's next candidate for Debbie's heel is Reggie. Debbie calls her Viking scum, saying that she should go back to Norway. Reggie picks her up and body slams her. Reggie shouts that she was Liberty Bell. This wasn't even a body slam. This was like a personal throw a few feet away from her. And Debbie just landed awkwardly. This was fucking personal. The scene changes to Sam's office, and Debbie is icing her back, telling Sam to hire someone else, someone without rage issues. He asks her why she's fighting the inevitable. Debbie replies that Ruth has sex with her husband, and Sam tells her that's life. She has to get over it, wake up, and be a professional. She can't just go out, do coke, and piss away all her money. She can't just wake up and screw people who are named after liqueurs. What happens then? She asks, "You end up here?" Sam says, "Yes, you end up here." Debbie says she's trying to make the best of a bad situation, asking how much worse it could get. He replies that she's young, she's working, so she needs to shut up. She says that she could be at home with her baby, and Sam replies that babies are boring. They don't party, haven't traveled, and have no sense of irony. He says that he knows she loves being a temperamental star. She would be bitter and resentful sitting at home with the kid. He insists that Ruth is the right match for her. He tells her that there are two reasons, the first being that she's actually talented, and secondly, that she's going to make Debbie look great. He tells her to hate her all she wants. In 2005, another love triangle happened. This time in WWE, the most uncomfortable and awkward feuds happened before our very eyes. Matt Hardy and Lita began dating in 1999. Every WWE fan knew this. They loved this relationship from start to the bitter end that has spilled over in real life. In 2004, Matt Hardy took off the road for over a year thanks to a severe injury. Lita began traveling with her and Matt's close friend Edge. While Matt was off the road, Lita began an affair with Edge. Edge was married at the time and Lita was still with Matt, creating a very uncomfortable situation. When Matt Hardy found out about Edge and Lita's affair, he made the whole thing public, going to the internet to air out their dirty laundry. WWE released Matt Hardy from his contract because of unprofessional conduct on social media. Since the affair had become public, WWE fans made their feelings known to Edge and Lita, with the fans taking Hardy's side. Online, WWE crowds would cheer at Edge and Lita on screen, with Edge getting chants of "We want Matt" and "You screwed Matt," while Lita fared much worse and got some truly disgusting things chanted at her. With this real-life drama now affecting the shows, WWE had to pivot their plans and use the real-life heat on Edge and Lita to make them a hated on-screen duo. Fans rallied around the Matt Hardy online, and the petition saw 15,000 fans wanting Hardy to get his job back. During this time, Edge and Lita had leaned into their real-life heat, and their electric chemistry saw them become Raw's hottest heels. On July 11, 2005, Matt Hardy made his shocking return to WWE, attacking Edge backstage. During the attack, Matt shouted at Edge, calling him his real-life name, Adam, and that he and Amy, Lita, would pay for their actions. This caused an uproar amongst fans, with many being uncertain if this whole thing was a work or a shoot. WWE re-signed Matt Hardy after weeks of similar beatdowns. This led to Matt Hardy cutting a work shoot on Edge and Lita on Raw. This promo, which in theory could have pushed Matt Hardy into the main event, was a disaster. You could feel Hardy's stock plummet with every second. He was rambling. He didn't sound confident and had a bizarre line about wanting to Edge to die in a car accident. As Sam is telling Debbie to hate Ruth all she wants, Ruth walks in the door shouting, "Shalom, everyone." She says that she is Gittel, the Orthodox warrior, and it's all about the Jews now. Melrose looks insulted and is about to plunge forward. Ruth says she will beat Melrose with a chicken. Sam asks her what's going on, and she says it's her new character, since Russia can't go to war with America. She points to Artie, saying that she's going to take the terrorists and they're going to kill. She's going to build settlements with Artie and will try to blow her up, but it won't work because she's too clever and thrifty. She says not to get her wrong, that she loves the Russians and could have gone all the way with them. She says it's all about going with the flow. She calls out Artie, but Artie says she's working on some things with Melrose. Ruth asks Sam what she's supposed to do. Devi steps forward, calling Ruth a typical whiny Soviet. She walks down the stairs from Sam's office toward Ruth, mocking her new outfit. "I'm so cold, so I only dress in gray and build things out of cinder blocks. Lousy commies." She insults Russian nuclear weapons, saying, "Wait until you get a load of our warheads." She calls America the greatest country on earth and saying she's willing to fight for it. Debbie calls Ruth a dirty Russian and steps in the ring. Ruth sheds the disguise and follows, asking the prom queen if she wants to play with her. "You want to play, prom queen?" The rest of the women surround the ring and are ready for an awesome match. Ruth says America thinks they're so great with their decadent fast food and disgusting football, which is wrong for this sport because football is soccer. Can't even name your sports right. Sam grabs his camera and starts filming. Justine notices this. Ruth gets in the ring. Debbie says that in America, they are free. Free to kick their red scary ass even redder. Ruth says in Soviet Union, we ate stars and stripes for breakfast. Debbie responds back that it's because they have no food. All her people have to eat are turnips, snow, and misery. Ruth says, we are empire. Debbie says, well, we are America. And instead of Spartan kicking her, she just grabs Ruth's neck and it's on. They lock up and Ruth tells Debbie to throw her and she does, knocking her to the ground. She tells her to stay down there. Debbie places her foot on top of Ruth's midsection and in front of the camera says, God bless the USA. Ruth says she may have defeated her today, but the Cold War is starting to heat up. Debbie motions to Ruth that she gets the last line and says, freedom! Ruth says she has to barf and leaves. Debbie comments that Russians are the world's biggest alcoholics and can't even hold their liquor. Back at the hotel, Gregory chats with Billy. He tells him that he sometimes has a woman who thinks he doesn't give her enough pleasure with mouth. Billy tells him that he really likes Justine, but he can't seem to say anything right. He suggested he not say much and instead give pleasure with mouth. Billy says it's a thought. Okay, back at the gym in the episode's final moments, Generation X Ready Steady Go is playing while Justine runs up to the office and steals Sam's camera. The show ends and credits roll.
In a world where true crime meets the supernatural and the unexplained,
where true crime and chills go hand in hand.
Welcome to Total Conundrum, the podcast that explores the dark, the eerie, and the downright mysterious.
Join us as we embark on a spine-tingling journey through the mysteries that keep you up at night.
We're diving deep into true crime stories, uncovering the most baffling cases, and exploring the twisted minds behind them.
But we don't stop there. We're also exploring the paranormal, from haunted houses to cryptids and all the creepy things that go bump in the night. Get ready for some supernatural thrills.
And what sets us apart? Prepare for a dose of dark humor as we navigate through the creepy and bizarre.
We've got it all. Bone-chilling tales, banter, and mind-boggling conundrums. You won't know whether to scream or laugh.
So grab your favorite snack, turn down the lights, and join us for a roller coaster ride of true crime and the supernatural, sprinkled with a bit of comic banter.
Stay curious, stay captivated, and let's dive into the world of Total Conundrum.
Now available on your favorite podcast platform. Get ready to be captivated, creeped out, and cracked up with Total Conundrum.
I mean, just get the two guys guest starring on this show to say something that guys would normally say. It was funny. It kind of felt out of place though because, okay, um, these two normally don't interact. Gregory, but I just realized that Gregory's been working at this hotel for years, and he probably knows Billy from him being the only delivery driver in town. You haven't met another delivery driver yet. So, but when we saw the introduction of Billy in the last episode, he was coming out of his car. Gregory's just staring, thinking like, which one of these hookers called for him again? Oh, all right. Final two questions from Pop Sugar to Britt Barron. When asked how was her work in theater, how has her work in theater helped her prepare for this role? Britt said, it kind of helped me book the role actually. In my initial callback and audition, on top of doing scenes, we were given these wrestling raps where we were asked to improvise. I performed mine as a monologue as if I was in a wrestling ring, talking to an audience, which is really similar to being on stage. Since my background is mostly theater, that's where I'm the most comfortable. So I think I was able to shine in that sense. A lot of TV acting and auditions, I've been told to do less or take down, and Glow is the opposite. We're constantly encouraged to go bigger, bolder, and perform to the back of the balcony. We're encouraged to be our biggest, baddest self, and thankfully, I found a show where my theater background works, and wrestling itself is very similar to being in theater. You're performing for an audience on a stage. And then the last question is something I like to ask in my interviews as well when I have a guest. Pop Sugar asked, if you were to become a wrestler, what would be your wrestling persona? Britt says, this is hard. I have so many thoughts. Maybe I'd be like a Wolverine because I went to the University of Michigan and I'm obsessed with Michigan. I'm a huge Michigan fan, so maybe it'll be something along those lines. Wearing maize and blue, which were our colors. Go Blues! Or something after Arya Stark, my favorite character of all time. I kind of relate to her. She's such a badass. I, me on the other hand, I enjoyed this episode. Ruth trying to make her character look authentic as possible and going to a party filled with Russians talking to them was rough. I wouldn't recommend. Gregory just saying that his girlfriend is mad at him, so he brought a hooker along is hilarious. Ruth is still trying to get the work done by method acting. Devi, on the other hand, is trying to become the best and top face of the company, but nothing works with the other girls being the top as well. This show's hilarious. I got 4 more episodes to go until the season finale, so I'm gonna find more behind the scenes stuff as we are waiting for the next episode. As always, follow us on our socials and support us from Under the Apron on Instagram, the Thread, YouTube, apron_stories on the Twitter. More info on links where you can listen or watch in the show notes. Listen to us on Apple, Spotify, or any other media you can listen to podcasts on. And don't forget, we have merch.
We've got some merch. Go buy our merch. We've got some merch. Go buy our merch.
Fatherless Behavior Squad. That's right, I named y'all that. After 2 years of trying to find the right name for my listeners, I decided to go with what I was called, own it, and turn it into a thing. Y'all are supporting my endeavors, so I feel it's right that shirts are made out in your honor. A friend of the podcast that goes by the name The Big Friendly Giant, I'm just going to call him my designer now. He designed the logo for these t-shirts. He came through, he said he was fidgeting with the logo, and he made the perfect combination of epic outerwear. So please check those out. Get the podcast logo in the front, fatherless behavior in the back, complete with a QR code, and the link to the website right across it. Or if you want to get your hands on another shirt, podcast logo in the front, QR code, and link to the website as well. But if you want to get your hands on a Father's Behavior Squad shirt, y'all are going to have to wait until the new year. For the 2nd year anniversary of the podcast, we're putting out the Fatherless Behavior Squad t-shirts. Let us know you're part of FUTA family. I'm just going to call it From Under the Apron family. There's FUTA just sounds like another word. So yeah, From Under the Apron family. Anyway, wear them and display them just in time for the holidays with your family get together and show them how you really feel or how you act. And if they say they like the shirt, buy them as a gift for Christmas. A Linktree will be in the show notes. Don't forget to rate us and leave us a review. And if you feel you want to do a little bit more, go to patreon.com/From Under the Apron Podcast. Support us on the Patreon. Become a top tier patron and get patron privileges. And I'll shout you out at the end of every episode. Kinda like Babel B, Menace Smiling, Damien H, Chanel from the Nerds in Texas Podcast, Cloudy November from the Nose of Sentence Podcast, Wheezy Soup from the Life of a 30-Year-Old Podcast, I Beloved Psy from the Sweet Life Pod. I'll have the link to these podcasts in the show notes so y'all can check them out. Gotta love them. Also, check out darkfakecreations.com for your scented candle needs. I'm gonna love doing those. I love those candles. I really do. And check out pleasurepassport.shop, an adult website that is a safe and inclusive platform for non-judgmental and consensual adult fun while offering comprehensive online education on safe sex practices and exploring sexuality. They believe that proper sexual education is essential to limit the transmission of sexually transmitted infections or diseases and to empower individuals to shed shame and freely explore their sexuality. Links to these shops will be in the show notes. Shout out to the Podcaster Alliance on Twitter. I joined a group chat with awesome podcasters. I'm going to have to read all their names. So here we go. If y'all can indulge me for a bit, go check them out on either Apple, Spotify, or wherever you can hear your podcast on. Follow these amazing podcasters. It'll be great. Trust me. Psycho Cinematic Podcast, Wine Time with a Gay and a Gal Podcast, Time to BS with Daniel Smoot, Pedals of Support, What I Heard Was, KJ&A Podcast, Mass Debaters, Ottoman Empire Podcast, No Playbook Podcast. Check those podcasts out. Let me know what y'all think. Alright, here comes the shout out. Mini Mommy Dancer, Mini Mommy, Mini Mommy, Mini Mommy. The Wee Daddy, Weedy Daddy, Weedy Daddy, Weedy. Okay, Daddy, whatever. Little Monster at Last. OMG is Friend. Henna Time, Messenger Stupidity, Cone of Shame Rabbit, Celestial Moon Goddess, Toasted Bagel, Lisa's Journey, Age with Shadow 666, Lily Linguini, The Sparkly Experiment, Ivan Campbell Music, Marijuana Barbie, Queen of the Underworld, Wild Stark, Little Miss Confidence, Greenery, Hey, It's Me, Your Favorite Chick, Jaded Samya, Kit Kat 222, Narcissus, Tiger Princess, Princess in the Weed, The Big Friendly Giant, Kinky's Delivery Service, Jojo Kiki's Blog, Dalo17, Baby XOXO, Tiana Taylor, Baby's Mama, Sad Ho the Goddess, Pixie Ocean Dust, Jenna Trolls, Baby Lexo, Julie the Flower Queen, Moth Vibes, Mighty Sovereign, I Drink Boy Tears, Starlit Sky, Hey Big Boy, Uzma Kappa, Original Loki Faded, Only Real Love, Interstellar Machine, Art Goblin 666, Foolish Boy Sings, Sunshine Soul Vibe, Pablo Malverde, The Evil Cat, Screwvolt, or, just found out today I can call it a pretty lady with the green eyes, and Cheeky Lizzie 24. Thank you guys for supporting the podcast. Patreon.com/From Under the Apron Podcast. Get your name shout out. Support the podcast. Check out the notes. Check out the show notes for links to other podcast trailers that you heard on this episode. Send us a message of your favorite wrestling stories, questions, comments, ratings, or requests at our email. It is FromUnderTheApron@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, joining the live, and being a huge part of this community. Tell your friends. Join us next time for more behind-the-scenes stories, movies, and TV show reviews when we come to you from Under the Apron. Fatherless Behavior Squad, I'm proud of y'all, and I love your faces. Good night.